Welcome to Star Wars Action News, helping Star Wars collectors collect better.
But of course, we briefly mentioned them before. The award for biggest display was the Hot Toys booth. Yes, I meant that very literally. They had the most floor space. I mean, sure, the life-sized R2-D2 at FX Collectibles might have been the same size, but their booth was comparatively smaller. The Hot Toys were spread out all over the place. And man, that TIE Fighter, we talked about it on the show from the floor. And so since we've already talked about it, we're bringing in our resident Hot Toys addict, Andrew, to talk about it. Welcome, Andrew.
Thanks. Yeah, I noticed the subtle, well, not so subtle hints as I was editing that segment for the show about how you're anticipating me buying all this stuff. Not sure I'm totally on board with that.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
I am not demanding you order it. I'm just assuming you're ordering it because to date, as of that recording, you had bought every Star Wars Hot Toys item.
Correct.
You've reviewed several of them for the show, and those reviews have been glowing, except for the broken pieces you seem to have bad luck getting.
Yeah, I'm cursed.
So I was stunned when right after reading that, I saw that the Luke Skywalker in Stormtrooper disguise, which we all knew was coming when they made two different height Stormtroopers, it went up for pre-order, and I was floored because you posted to the Star Wars Action News Facebook page. You didn't order.
You're right. I have not. I'm not saying that I won't. I'm just saying that I have not. And there's a couple reasons for that. The main one is because I don't know if I really need it. It looks like the head is the same as the regular Luke Skywalker figure. So assuming that the head fits on the short Stormtrooper body I already have, the only thing that I'm really paying that $230 for is a tiny grappling hook attachment for his belt and a Stormtrooper helmet. And I'm not really sure I'm ready to go that far. And the other reason is that, you know, it is an exclusive, which almost made me pull the trigger. But I went out and I looked, in the Celebration exclusive Space Trooper is still available for pre-order. It's not on wait list. It did not go nearly as fast as that Shadow Trooper did that went 5 hours and sold out. So I'm kind of waiting to see. The Han Solo figure should be shipping within the next couple weeks. So if the Han Solo head fits on the tall Stormtrooper armor, that could cause me to not purchase the Luke and Stormtrooper armor.
I get what you're saying. I just want to make sure I'm understanding, though, that you're okay just doing head swaps on your figures and pretending it's a different figure that was released?
As of this recording, yes.
And you know what? We are not going to hold it against you if you change your mind. We understand you are not making a stance. That said, what was your reaction when you saw either our video or the first pictures on our Facebook page of that enormous TIE Fighter?
Silence. That was my reaction. I did not know what to think or say. Is it actually going to be up for sale? Do we have any confirmation, or was it just a display piece to get everybody's attention?
I think it's kind of like a runway dress, to equate it to like New York Fashion Week or something like that. It's an attention getter. Maybe there's going to be a few made for some high-end clients, but I think its goal was to do what it accomplished, which is get us all talking about it and be like, oh my God. Like, I seriously, again, did not realize the scale of that until I walked up to it, because I just seen pictures on the internet with nothing to reference. And then I stood in their booth. I'm like, oh, I get it now. I understand what everybody's like. Oh, it's a big TIE Fighter.
Yeah, but the only thing I can think of is some of the other huge things they've done. I've not seen them do something that big before, but for The Dark Knight Rises, the bat was 30 inches long by 16 inches wide. I mean, that's almost a yard. That's about as long as this thing is tall. maybe a little shorter. I think the Millennium Falcon that they just revealed.
Oh my God.
That's 18 feet long.
Are you in for that, Andrew?
No.
That, I believe, is just a display piece. But this TIE fighter, I think they're gauging interest. I think if enough people vocalize online that they want to buy it and are willing to spend what it will cost, that Hot Toys will make it. I have a couple of concerns about it. I mean, it was not supporting its own weight on the wings. There were some about half-inch metal rods keeping it up. So, again, is that just a display piece that they didn't have anything going on around it? They just had the TIE fighter in it, and they were displaying it alongside the Millennium Falcon cockpit, which we do know is going on sale.
Yeah.
I think they might go for it, but will you?
No. No, I won't. The main reason is space. I mean, like you guys said in your review of the booth, it's just like, where would you put something like that? I mean, that would basically have to be your display unless you've got a outbuilding that is, designated for your Hot Toys collection.
And we know 2 or 3 people who do.
I just can't imagine having that in my house.
To equate it, you know what it's about the same size as, and I didn't think of it till this very moment? Gus Lopez has the original Death Star from the A New Hope, the filming prop. And you know what? It's about the same size as this TIE fighter.
That's exactly. And he's got it like when you walk in his house, there's stairs and it's like not a curved staircase, but it's like sectioned and then there's a landing and he's got it tucked in there and it fits perfectly.
But it is filling an entire alcove of a house. It's the first thing you see when you walk in, but it's one of those, it's about like, oh, we could put a coffee table here upon which I would put my keys and perhaps a plant and a few pictures. No, we're going to put a TIE fighter there.
I think that's an acceptable compromise.
Well, yeah, and you can use it for other things. You could use it as a coat hanger, hang your coats on those little spindles that go out to the wings. Yeah, totally worth the $5,000 it's going to cost.
Oh, I'm betting it's going to be a 5-digit number.
And I'm wondering if the TIE fighter might come in at $2,000.
You think the TIE fighter?
I'm wondering. It depends on the amount of electronics.
Well, and there were light-up features, weren't there?
Yeah, there were, but it depends on how much they do. If they decide to go all out and have TIE fighter sound effects, you're going to just keep increasing the price.
Yeah, how much was the bat when it came out?
$700-ish.
Okay. Still not going to buy it. And it did have a TIE fighter pilot inside, right?
Yeah, there is a TIE fighter pilot in there.
All right.
Maybe it's an exclusive figure if you buy the ship.
If they do that, there's no way I'm ever owning a TIE fighter pilot. That is not going to entice me into buying a giant TIE fighter. I can't do it. I got to draw the line somewhere. I'll go the quarter scale, Boba Fett, maybe Darth Vader down the line. We'll see. But yeah, I there's no way I can get that ship. No, Millennium Falcon cockpit. Maybe.
That would be kind of cool. We were debating the scale of it. We just rewatched A New Hope. And is the cockpit a little more spacious on the Hot Toys one?
See, I think it looks bigger on the Hot Toys one than it does in the movie. Like they've got too much space behind them and above them.
And I wonder if that's just practicality of getting the figures in there, right? Like if it's too cramped, and we all know how fragile Hot Toys are, trying to get everybody in their seats and in the right poses, I could see things snapping off quite easily if it's too cramped in there.
Obviously, you're considering getting it. What were some of the wow points for you?
For me, it was all the pretty lights. I mean, it looked so iconic to that Millennium Falcon cockpit. It just looked, even though it may have been a little bit bigger on the inside, it just looked exactly like you would imagine the inside of the Millennium Falcon cockpit looking.
It did have some amazing detail, and it made me also consider it's just such a scaled down prop replica that is amazing looking.
And I liked that the back of it too even had detail. Like it's the hallway into the cockpit, which I thought was a nice little touch.
And then they had a couple new figures that we didn't even get to see at Celebration at the show. A couple Lukes, the one that went up for pre-order that weekend, the Leia that was just officially announced.
Yeah, I really like the Luke. I think he looks really good. And I like that he comes with all the different stuff, right? The poncho and the sand hat with the goggles, you know.
His Gilligan hat.
Exactly. Yeah, his Gilligan hat. I think that it comes with all the right detail and the right accessories. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be in my collection.
Yeah, I kind of figure if you have any Hot Toys collection at all, a Tatooine Luke is pretty much a must-have, right?
Yeah, that character, it's so iconic. You know, he's my favorite character from, you know, my childhood, and even now probably I would consider him to be my favorite character of the saga. And just that look, right? The pants and the little tunic that he's gone on, and it just, yeah, it's got to be in the collection.
And what about his twin sister?
She's interesting. I don't know what it is, but for one, I find it interesting that in all the pictures that I've seen, it looks like her sleeves are a little translucent, like you can kind of see through them, which I don't quite get. I went and I looked at the costumes book that just came out for the original trilogy, and I looked at the actual, you know, photos of the costume on the mannequin, and you can't see through it at all. I don't know if it's just the material that they're using for the sleeves. I don't know why they wouldn't use the same that they're using for the rest of the body, but I found that to be interesting.
I didn't notice it looking at it in person, so it could also be the harsh studio lights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the flash and all that.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying for sure whether or not that's the case. I can say when I was looking at it, I didn't go, hey, there's arm under there.
Yeah, I think the facial sculpt is really good. I think it looks like A New Hope Carrie Fisher. I don't know what it is about sculpted buns. And I'm not talking about plastic surgery. I don't know if it's because I'm used to seeing pictures of the, you know, vintage 12-inch Leia with the star poofs, right? I just don't know what it is. They look too fake. Because they are fake.
They're also almost too big for her head, I think. And that's a pretty severe part she's got going on. Yeah, it looks like literally she has a croissant curled up on her head. Because
of the part and the way the sculpted hair is so straight, she looks like a member of parliament. And I don't mean George Clinton's band. But that facial likeness, I mean, it's like they went back in time, kidnapped Carrie Fisher, and miniaturized her. I mean, this is the best Carrie Fisher I've ever seen, including the real Carrie Fisher.
Yep.
Yeah, and it comes with two blasters. So it's got the Imperial Stormtrooper blaster. So, you know, if you're getting everything, you're going to have, you know, 20 Imperial Stormtrooper blasters by the time it's all done. But you also get her slender pistol from the very beginning of the movie, which I thought was cool. Because so far, everything's really been focused around the Death Star scenes. Other than, you know, the Sand Trooper that came out in the Tatooine Luke, everything's been really focused on stuff from the Death Star. Which leads me to the thing that I'm most excited about the Princess Leia figure is that the exclusive comes with a backdrop.
And they don't even show us the backdrop. We didn't see it at the con. It was in the announcement. It's just this black silhouette. We don't know what the backdrop is, right?
Yeah. It makes me want, is it going to be from the Tantive 4? Is it going to be Death Star backdrop, detention level, you know, backdrop? Is it going to have like a bench or something that she can sit on? It just
garbage chute?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the hallway in the detention center. Yeah, I mean, it could be any number of things. The fact that it is a backdrop is really what's sealing the deal for me on that figure. You know, because we kept talking on all the other figures that we've seen that the bases are really plain and kind of boring. You know, the Sand Trooper and the Tatooine Luke have cool sand bases, but everything else is on that grill, right? It's either black or gray or red.
Mm-hmm.
So if she comes with a backdrop, that's going to just accentuate how boring all these other bases are, but it's going to make her look so much better.
I kind of think one part of this is you can really see her wrist joints.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it kind of takes it away for me, but then I kind of like, there's one pose that's fabulous, and it's the General Kenobi, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars. And because they've got the hands that are included with that, I think that's the only one that looks good. Otherwise, those wrist joints are just so distracting, and that's all I'm going to see if it's in any other pose except the hands in front of her.
But you're going to have joints on any figure.
I know that, but that doesn't mean I like it.
Tatooine Luke has them, and I don't know that that would be a deal breaker. It's just understanding that's what you get when you get a figure instead of a statue.
I understand, but I'm saying for me, it would be very distracting.
Yeah, and Arnie, you're saying that all the figures are going to have those joints. That even the Stormtroopers do, but you can't really see them because the joints are black and it kind of hides it. But even though Luke has it, I didn't really notice it in any of the pictures. I don't know if it's because Leia's arm's more slender, that it just really makes that ball joint kind of stand out. But this was the first time I really noticed that in the pictures. And maybe the other figures just didn't have pictures that showed the joint so profoundly. But this was the first time I noticed. It was like, ooh, there's a wrist.
All right, so my last question for you, Andrew, with all of the reveals we've seen so far, and given that this is Hot Toys A New Hope collection specifically, what are you hoping they make or announce next? What's the next thing from that first movie that would most excite you?
I want a Tarkin.
Ooh,
really?
Good call.
Yeah. I want somebody that'll go with the Darth Vader that I'm getting, other than Stormtroopers and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, with Leia and Tarkin, you could recreate the destruction of Alderaan. Maybe the backdrop is that viewport of Alderaan.
Ooh, there we go.
Or you could just print one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Andrew, I'm looking forward to you getting some more Hot Toys in your hands so you can review them for our show. And you and I need to get together in person because I picked up something to follow up from our joint review of the Black Hole Stormtrooper by Hot Toys. I got a bargain on eBay. I have Sideshow's Black Hole Stormtrooper.
Ah, very nice. Yeah, remember we talked about that on the show, what the differences would be.
Yeah, so sometime when you and I are physically in the same vicinity, you'll have to bring your Hot Toys, I'll bring the Sideshow one, and we can do a real comparative overview.
Yeah, sounds like a date.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, and may the Hot Toys be with you.
Thanks for watching this video. You can see full episodes of Star Wars Action News with more collecting news and reviews at swactionnews.com. We also have thousands of toy and collectible photos in our photo gallery. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. May the pegs be stocked and the Force be with you.